Facebook world. So today I want to talk about my three big rocks. I get a lot of questions about this because I talk about it a lot, but this is the planning method that I use to plan my days and my weeks. I discovered it from Franklin Covey and Michael Hyatt. I know there's a lot of other notable people that talk about it, but they have some really good resources about it. But it really has helped me narrow down my focus for each day and each week. And then I also use it monthly and quarterly as well. But it really helps me to identify my priorities and stick to my goals. And I've been able to accomplish a lot in the last year because of this. So I'm sure you have heard the quote, what gets scheduled, what gets done. I used to hate that quote because I wasn't very good at scheduling things or scheduling my time. But it's true. And now I've embraced it and life is better. But the opposite of that is also true. What doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. So the idea of this three big rocks is that you accomplish your big tasks and your big priorities first in the day. Because if you don't, then you're probably not going to have room, quote unquote, in your day to complete everything else because you've done all the little meaningless tasks first or the easy tasks first. That's what I used to get caught doing is I would do just the easy things and then I wouldn't have time for the big things or I wouldn't have the energy for it either. So the analogy with the three big rocks is that if you have a bunch of big rocks and you have a little bit of gravel and then you have a big jar, if you put the gravel in first, which are your smaller tasks, then there's no room for the big rocks at the end, which are your most important tasks. But if you put the big rocks in the jar first, then there's plenty of room for the gravel to fill in the spaces as needed. So that's kind of the visual analogy that comes with that. So there's a couple things I wanted to touch on with them. So the first is be strategic when you're picking your rocks. So for me, when I'm sitting down and doing my weekly planning, which is usually Fridays, before like at the very end of my day, I figure out what three things have to be done for the next week. And I like to break my list up into three business things and then three personal things, just because I have important things that need to be done there too. And then in my business, I always make sure that 2 out of the 3 big rocks are for things working on my business, not in it. So things like marketing, my sales calls, blogging, Facebook Live, things like that. The most important thing here is to know what your priorities are. Is it your marketing? Is it physical exercise? Is it spiritual growth? Is it date night? Whatever that is, make sure that you have identified your priorities and that it's one of your big rocks. Because remember, if it's scheduled, then it'll get done, right? So the next thing is figure out what your gravel is, but don't hold on to it too tightly. Don't get too don't be thinking that you have to do it all yourself. So after I've written my 3 big rocks down, I then go through and make the list of all the smaller things that need to get done that week. This list is usually pretty long. Actually, here's mine for today. It's like 20 things. So, but I look through that list and then I see what I can delegate. Because there's usually a lot of things that my team can help with, or the case of my personal list that I just showed you, that my husband can help with. But the idea is that you don't have to do it all. You don't have to. There's usually a lot of things that you're holding on to that you really can delegate or outsource to someone else. The last thing that I want to talk about is what to do if you get off course. So your day's never going to go perfect. You're going to have something that comes up. You're going to have something that a fire to put out, or maybe your kids are crazy that day so you can't work, or last week our internet wasn't working, which when you run an online business is not awesome. So you're going to have things that come up. I get that, right? I'm a business owner too. But the great thing about having your rocks figured out for your day or your week is it's easier to steer your focus back. So you put out your fire, get things taken care of, and then instead of losing motivation or just spinning your wheels or going back to working on the gravel, you can look at your list of 3 things and get right back on track. So that super helped me. The other great thing that I like, or that has really helped me implement this, is my accountability partner, which I know I've talked about her before. But she's been incredible. So we check in every morning. We usually do video chat or Marco Polo. Marco Polo is our favorite. And I just quickly say, okay, here's my 3 big rocks today. This is what I'm working on. And then at the end of the day, I check in with her again and I just say, okay, here's what I did get done or I didn't get done. So just kind of holds my feet to the fire. That's really helped. So if you can have an accountability partner, I encourage you to find one. It took me a long time to find one that we were at the same level and at the same, just that we meshed well together. But now that I have one, it's pretty awesome. So if you can find somebody to help check in and hold your feet to the fire, if that's something you need, I'd encourage you to do that too. So anyway, that's kind of how I accomplish my day. That's how I go about almost everything that I do, is to focus on my 3 big rocks and then the gravel, the unimportant stuff. So I hope you have a great Thursday. I will talk to you soon.